Hello everyone, my name is Nick Burchell. I'm here today with you to talk about cartography in Adobe Creative Suite and just talk to you about a few of the enhancements we made to MAPublisher for Adobe Illustrator and Geographic Imager for Adobe Photoshop since last year's NACIS. So here's some things that I'll talk to you today about. For those new to NACIS this year, I'll give you a brief overview of the Avenza Platform, and then I'll talk to you about some of the coolest features that we put into MAPublisher and Geographic Imager since October of 2019. So for MAPublisher, I'll talk to you about Spatial Join, very exciting feature that we brought in this year in version 10.6. I'll talk to you about some enhancements we made to our line plotter tool. I'll talk to you a bit more about our coordinate system library and how we're updating that with our partners at Blue Marble Geographics. For Geographic Imager, I'll talk to you about import and export of vectors, the background color removal that we brought in to the forthcoming version 6.2 of Geographic Imager, and then some other initiatives that we're looking at embarking on in the next short while. So a bit about me before we launch into the Avenza platform. So yeah, my name is Nick Burchell. So originally a cartographer, so most of the 90s across the other side of the pond was spent making maps. So I've been in software and services now since 2000, so I've been with Avenza for a total of 10 years. So my current role is product management for MAPublisher, as well as Geographic Imager. I also look after customer services for the company, as well as all of the QA direction and strategy for our development units. So a bit more about us, Avenza Systems. So we like to talk about our platform here. So, you know, we do have cartographic and spatial imagery software. So MAPublisher and Geographic Imager are essentially extensions for Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop, so MAPublisher and Geographic Imager. So basically we enhance Adobe's platforms to essentially give them geospatial awareness. And obviously we have lots of really cool tools, so we can talk a bit more about those in a minute. But anyway, this presentation today is all about the new things for this year. We have an app also called Avenza Maps, so we can essentially export everything that we do from Geographic Imager and MAPublisher into a map store. So if you are, if you are interested in being a vendor, you can actually export your data products up to a map store, and then you can use our app to download them and then work in an offline world for work and play. You can also export data as well from the mobile app back into shapefile format, KML, etc. And then you can see the circular nature of this Avenza platform. You can bring these things back into Adobe using MAPublisher and Geographic Imager. So we like to target ourselves as maps in Adobe. So, you know, we are really in the game with Illustrator and Photoshop. So we are basically extensions to both of those platforms. We take compatibility very seriously. So we always make sure that we are up to date with the latest Adobe releases. So right now that will be the forthcoming 2021 release. But as of right now for NACIS, we are compatible with CC 2020, CC 2019, and still CS6. Because we know a lot of you cartographers there are still on CS6. We try to keep up to date as well with Macintosh and Windows operating systems. So as there are updates made, then we focus very heavily on making sure that we are compatible. Yes, we are Macintosh and Windows. So just some of the new enhancements that we've made in MAPublisher since NACIS 2019. So the first one is Spatial Join. So we always start with the why. So you'll see this in some of the slides. As a product manager, we obviously want to understand why our customers need these enhancements. So until we understand the why, we don't really embark on anything that we need to do. So this was a big use case for us over a number of years. People do not want to bounce outside of MAPublisher to do key GIS tasks. So we essentially have taken that feedback and worked extensively over the last year to make sure that we have Spatial Join. So this really was our landmark feature within version 10.6. So, you know, basically that's the why there. As a user, I want to join attributes based on the spatial relationships of objects on two layers, so the source and the target. The spatial join tool inserts the columns and attributes from one feature table to another based on locational proximity. We support several spatial join types: intersect, contains, within distance, closest, has center in, and is identical to basically the spatial join types that we put into version 10.6. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. This blog also is on avenza.com. So this basically, so you guys can see spatial join in action. This is a map of Italy that was created by our friend Hans van der Marel, which is available through his one-stop map service. It provides a great way to show you some of the examples of the spatial join tool in action. It contains a cities layer and a regions layer. And basically, we would like to see which cities fall into each region by using the spatial join tool. You can see the cities attribute table here, and that contains the name of each city, and there are 70 in total. There are 20 different regions that these cities lie within. To figure out which cities belong to which region, we have the ability to spatially join attribute information from the city's point layer to the region's area layer. In addition, we'll use the concatenate operation on the name attribute to list all of the cities that belong to the region in one field. To do this, you would click on the new Spatial Join button on the MAPublisher toolbar, or access the Spatial Join dialog box via Object MAPublisher Spatial Join. The Spatial Join tool will always open on the Join tab. We'll be adding data to my region's area layer and joining data from my city's point layer. The relationship is set to contains. In other words, when one feature intersects with the interior or boundary of another. A description of the operation is always provided beneath the relationship. The precision slider alters the tolerance that is used to determine when two values are equivalent. Depending on your data, this may need to be altered in some cases, but for example, I will be leaving it in the default position. On the Attributes tab, I'm going to concatenate the name field by double-clicking on the attribute. I can access the Edit Calculate Attribute Operation dialog. In addition, I'm going to sum both of the population max and population min attributes. I'm also going to append a count attribute to the table so I can quickly verify how many cities are in each region. With the Edit Calculated Attribute Operation dialog box, we're going to set the operation drop-down to concatenate and leave the separator as default, as comma, then space. After confirming the spatial join with the OK button, we'll open the map attribute table for the region's area layer and take a look at the results. You can see that the cities have been concatenated by region, and the population max and population min attributes have been summed for the regions based on the cities contained within them. The count attribute was also added to the attribute table, and as only 56 of the 70 cities were within the Italian region's area layer, that is the total value of our count. So just to give a little plug to Hans, the data that we used was made during made using the incredibly beautiful map data that was provided by our good friends over in Europe at One Stop Map. We're actually pushing a lot more content in the forthcoming months to One Stop Map. So you can see here in the screenshot that we now offer MAPublisher aware Illustrator files for purchase. So basically, you can directly download these files, open them in Illustrator, change style sheets which are already set up, and then you can create really great looking maps very, very quickly. And we made some big changes to our line plotter tool as well in version 10.6. When plotting a line from point to point, you now have the option of selecting whether that line is geodesic, Cartesian, or a run line. So as an example here that I'll walk you through, we're going to see how you can plot flight paths easily directly onto your map in Adobe Illustrator. So here I've imported a shapefile of the world and reprojected to equal Earth in Illustrator using MAPublisher. By utilizing the Add Map Locations from Web feature highlighted at the bottom of the Map Locations panel down here, You can see that adding each destination and its corresponding coordinates was as easy as typing in the city name. Now that I have all my locations of interest and their coordinates, I could plot these onto my map as points. For this, I use the map point plotter. With the cities and main hubs now plotted, it was time to add the routes. I targeted a new line called routes and set my start point using the map location selector. I was sure to change the method to geodesic. I started adding cities using the add point from map location control, shown here. Once you select your point, a preview will be drawn onto the artboard if your show line preview option is checked. The first route was from Abu Dhabi to Mexico City. You can select multiple destinations in the advanced line plotter. You can also change the order of the points once they are in the list using arrows highlighted here. Once all the routes have been plotted, the points were labeled with Map Label Pro and a customized graticule was added. So for our coordinate system library update, so this has been a huge body of work this year for us at Avenza in Toronto. But yeah, we've been out of sync somewhat with Blue Marble Geographics for a few years now. So it's important that we make sure that we are updating our projections and coordinate system libraries to the most up-to-date versions. So, you know, the maintenance value is there for our customers. So we'll be including, you know, a whole gamut of new datum, CS definitions, even some new coordinate systems. We have been cherry picking them in over the last few years, but it was important that we do sync in with the latest Blue Marble libraries. So we are targeting a late 2020 release for MAPublisher that will include our new projection libraries. So here you can see some of the widgets within MAPublisher. So, you know, essentially what you're seeing now under destination coordinate system, this will all be revamped later in the year. So lots of additional and fine-tuned coordinate systems. So some new enhancements that we have in Geographic Imager. This is our extension for Adobe Photoshop. So the big one that we brought in late last year was vector support. So the ability to import vectors directly into the Adobe Photoshop environment. So this can be areas, lines, points, and text. Basically, once imported, paths can be used to create selections, crop or eliminate specific areas, or apply area-specific effects. Paths can also be used to check if spatial imagery is spatially accurate. Imported points and text can also be used as annotations on an image and to aid in quality assurance and quality control. Points and text can also be quickly imported to annotate an image to provide context. So here's just one use case for vector import, and we're going to import a selection. This image is in Lambert conformal conic. So you can see here the Geographic Imager panel, you know, clearly lists the scale, the projection, all directly inside the Photoshop environment. So the majority of the geospatial vector imports that we have in MAPublisher are now available for import to the Adobe Photoshop environment. You can even import vectors from geodatabases. That was an extension that we had in our version 6.1. So here I'm selecting a boundary file for Minnesota and check to make a selection from the paths I'm importing. There's also filtering options here, like in MAPublisher, if you want to just import a subset of a vector based on its extent. So as the incoming vector is an Albers equal area, but the image is in Lambert conformal conic, I'm prompted to reproject the vector. And then you can see the Minnesota boundaries are imported as a selection. Now with a simple layer by copy command, the selection is pasted into a new layer, still with all georeferencing intact. So in version 6.2, you can also use an export feature. So this is brand new in the forthcoming release. So now you can export vector data from the document to various geospatial file formats. So you can choose the selected path or all paths in the document as current paths, path from document selection, or all paths in the document. So you can see you can export paths to almost all the same geospatial vector file formats that you can from MAPublisher. So in this example, I'm just exporting the same Minnesota polygon back out to a shapefile, back out to a shapefile, and it's symbolic of the current selection, but it could be any path you have created within Photoshop. And you can see in this example, I've opened MAPublisher, I brought in the image, and then I've imported that shapefile of Minnesota. And basically on import, it has magically placed it in the correct location. Okay. So another big feature for version 6.2 is remove background color. So this removes a selected background color from the image source. So in the remove background color dialog box, in the advanced import, you would click the color to remove the hyperlink and open the remove background dialog box. You can select a color in the preview image or use the quick select colors, white or black. To select a custom color, you would click the color hyperlink. We've also redesigned the advanced import dialog in version 6.2 to make it a lot more intuitive. Clicking the Edit Pencil button on the image selector for import will open the Edit Image Source dialog. The Remove Background Color setting removes a selected background color from the image source. In the Remove Background dialog box, click the color to remove hyperlink to open the Remove Background dialog box. Click a color in the preview image or use the quick select colors. And you can see the effect here. Remove background is also available when mosaicing is enabled in the advanced import. So settings are available to select a color from an existing document. And you can see here, this is the result of a mosaic on import with the black background color removed. And just a few other things on our initiatives for the forthcoming months. So we are obviously focused on compatibility. Adobe Max is coming up shortly. So this is generally when Adobe do release their latest versions. So this will be the CC 2021 version. So we'll be very focused on pushing a release of MAPublisher and Geographic Imager that is compatible to 2021 shortly after they do release. Coming soon to MAPublisher and Geographic Imager is a built-in onboarding program. So this will help you get up to speed quicker with new features and will uncover some hidden gems in the applications that you may not previously be aware of. We hope to have the option for floating licensing being managed by RLM in their own cloud shortly. This will allow organizations to not have to manage their own floating licenses themselves, but rather have us, with our vendor, manage the system. The benefit here is that you can check in and check out licenses wherever you are, irrespective of whether you are in your own domain or not. We also continue to focus on integrating all our products, not just MAPublisher and Geographic Imager, but also Avenza Maps into university programs. We will have a landing page shortly for all your educational institutions to sign up for licensing. And then with the caveat that we work together on the syllabus. So coming soon to avenza.com. So please keep checking back on our website for more information there. We'll also be continuing to build out our MAPublisher aware content on One Stop Map. This is to offer cartographers and graphic designers the means to instantly modify base mapping products through fast style sheet edits. So these are my digits. If you want to get in touch, I'm nick@avenza.com. You can see my Twitter handle there. So come check us out on avenza.com. Maybe easier to remember, cartography.com for you guys. And these are all my digits there. So please get in touch if you've got any questions, and I look forward to meeting you for some Q&A NACIS week, which I guess is next week now. Take care. Thanks.